The seconds are out. The crowd is waiting. The boxers are getting ready to battle. Time for another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast with your presenter, Greg Rashid.
Well, I want to say sweaty crap to everyone out there. This is Greg Rashid with another edition of the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast, heard by so many people all over the world at their convenience. And yes, for those of you who don't know, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, loving it. Getting a little rain right now, but we always have great weather over here. And I hope you, wherever you are, and I know if you're listening to the States, it's cold there, but we try our best to keep you warm with our show here. And if you're new to the program, what we do on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast is that we have fantasy fights on here. And I know if you're listening to the program, you're a boxing fan, and you always wonder, what happened if Mike Tyson fought Joe Frazier? What if Muhammad Ali fought Tyson Fury? Well, that's what we do on this program. We do fantasy fights. And today we're going to have a humdinger. This is going to be the aforementioned Tyson Fury versus David Haye. Now, they were actually supposed to fight back in September 2013, but due to injuries, Haye couldn't get in the ring with Tyson Fury. So we're going to do this as far as what would happen if they got together. And also on this program, what we do is that we do a little music, we do a little bit of boxing history, and we have a debate on here with Malcolm and Ellen. You'll hear that a little later. But right now, and we use today we're using as far as our fantasy fight to simulate it, we're using Legends of Boxing 2 PC game created by Gary Brown. But we're going to get to the fight right now. And usually we have Knockout Nigel, but he is away on assignment. And so today we have a new voice, a new person on here. And this is the boxing professor. And he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. But let's get down to the ring and let's hear what the boxing professor has to say about this fight today between David Haye and Tyson Fury. So let's hear it right now on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
The boxing professor here, Professor Potney, coming to you live from the iconic Wembley Stadium on this massive night in British heavyweight history. The arch is lit up, the crowd's buzzing, and we've got a proper clash of styles and eras. The towering, elusive Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, taking on the explosive former cruiserweight turned heavyweight champ, David Haye, the Haymaker. Let me paint the picture of these two warriors before the first bell. Starting with Tyson Fury. Born Tyson Luke Fury on August 12th, 1988 in Manchester, England. The Gypsy King from an Irish traveller family, standing 6 feet 9 inches with an 85-inch reach. Fury turned pro in 2008 and quickly rose, winning the British, Commonwealth and European titles. His defining moment came in 2015 when he upset Vladimir Klitschko in Germany to claim the WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO and lineal heavyweight titles, becoming unified champ. He battled personal demons, stepped away, but roared back, most famously with the epic trilogy against Deontay Wilder, a draw in the first, then 2 knockout wins. He's held the WBC title from 2020 onward, with notable victories over the likes of Derek Chisora 3 times, Dillian White and more. Record around 34 wins, a couple of losses late in his career, but his unorthodox style, awkward movement, feints, switch hitting, incredible ring IQ and heart makes him one of the most unique heavyweights ever. Now, David Haye, born October 13th, 1980 in Bermondsey, London, the Haymaker. Starting as a cruiserweight sensation, he unified the WBA, WBC and WBO titles in 2007 to 2008 by stopping Jean-Marc Mormec and Enzo Maccarinelli, becoming undisputed at 200 pounds. Then he moved up to heavyweight, famously outpointing the giant Nikolai Valuev in 2009 to win the WBA heavyweight title, one of only a handful to win world titles in 2 divisions. He defended against the likes of Derek Chisora, but losses to Vladimir Klitschko and later Tony Bellew twice marked his later years. Record of 28 wins, 4 losses, with 26 knockouts, explosive power in both hands, lightning speed for a heavyweight, devastating right hook, and that famous southpaw stance. A showman with massive charisma and one-punch KO ability. This one's at Wembley. Ref's instructions given, gloves touched. Round 1 has begun. The bell sounds and Fury comes out using that massive left jab, popping it out, measuring distance, circling the ring with those long legs. Haye stalks patiently, trying to cut off the angles, but Fury's movement is slick, side to side, switching stances briefly to confuse. Haye throws a few testing hooks, but Fury slips and counters with jabs to the body. Not much heavy leather landed, but Fury's activity and control of range give him the edge. Clear round for the Gypsy King. More of the same in the second. Fury's jab is like a piston thudding into Haye's guard and chest, keeping him at bay. Haye presses forward, feinting to draw Fury in, but the taller man dances away, landing crisp 1-2s. Haye tries to trap him on the ropes, but Fury spins out beautifully. Another tactical round dominated by Fury's reach and footwork. Haye frustrated, but still dangerous. Third round has Fury continuing to dictate with the jab and lateral movement. Haye stalking, cutting the ring where he can, but Fury's too elusive. A few exchanges mid-round. Haye lands a glancing left hook, but Fury responds with a sharp jab right-hand combo. Fury's controlling the pace, outlanding Haye. Wembley crowd appreciating the chess match. Fury takes another round on my card. There is obvious frustration on Haye's face. His corner is urging him to become more aggressive. Haye steps it up in the fourth. He feints, closes distance, and traps Fury in the neutral corner. Here comes the haymaker. Unloads a blistering series of combinations, left hooks, right crosses, uppercuts, Fury covering up, then grabbing hold to survive. Fury spends the last half of the round clinching desperately, smothering Haye's power. The referee steps in and warns Fury for excessive holding. Bell rings, Fury moves slowly, gingerly back to his corner, breathing heavy. Big round for Haye. Fifth underway, and Haye's momentum carries over. He's stalking more aggressively, landing that looping right hook to the body, then upstairs. Fury tries to jab and move, but Haye's timing him now. Crisp combinations thud home. Haye dominates the exchanges, Fury covering up more. Strong round for the haymaker. Fury has to be at a loss, wondering what happened to the Haye of the first 3 rounds. Into the 6th, Haye's right hook is finding its mark, snapping Fury's head back a couple times. Combinations flowing, jab, hook, cross. Fury circles, but Haye's cutting him off better, landing solid shots. Fury gets in a few jabs, but Haye's the aggressor, winning this one clearly. 7th round, Haye continues to dominate, peppering Fury with hooks and uppercuts on the inside. Fury's movement slowed. He's holding when close. Haye breaks free and lands clean, thudding body shots and head hooks. Another dominant round for Haye. Early in the 8th, Haye catches Fury coming in with a looping right hook. Boom! Fury down hard. He rises at 7, legs shaky, eyes glassy. Haye presses, but Fury survives by moving and clinching. Shaky legs for the rest of the round. Haye controls, but no finish. Huge moment. 9th round, and Fury's left eye is swelling badly from Haye's jabs. Major swelling, Fury pouring at it constantly. Haye jabs away, targeting the eye, but Fury fights back, connects with some solid combinations mid-round, forcing Haye to step back momentarily. Fury rallies a bit, landing heavy shots. Close, but Haye still edges it with the damage. 10th round. Both men are exhausted, spending the majority holding on in the clinch, referee breaking them repeatedly. Late in the round, Haye digs a right to the body, followed by left hooks. Fury staggers back, hurt. He covers up to the bell. Haye takes it. 11th. Fury flicks out the left jab again, trying to dance and box, regaining some movement. Haye presses, connects with solid combinations. Fury covers up high. Haye lands cleaner, but Fury survives on the back foot. Round 12. Final round. Fury stands toe-to-toe with Haye. No more running. They trade in the centre. Fury outpunches him in the exchanges. Sharp jabs, right hands, uppercuts. Haye fires back, but Fury's volume and power edge the firefight. Haye is missing his right hooks as Fury continues to find the mark with his left jab. Fury is beginning to talk to Haye. He is telling him that he is winning. Haye spits his mouthpiece out in anger as the round ends. The judges have rendered their decision. Judge 1 has it 115 to 114, Fury. Judge 2 has it 117 to 111, Haye. Judge 3 sees it 115 to 114 for Haye. The winner by split decision is David Haye. On my card, I had Haye winning by an easy unanimous decision. Fury did come on in the 12th, but it wasn't enough for me. This has been another bout for the history books. Let me turn it back to our Bangkok studio. Remember, history is written by the winners. This is Professor Pawnee, until we step in the ring again. Good day.
All right, that was a good one. I really like that fight. And I like the professor there. He's good. I mean, I know a lot of you like Knockout Nigel, but Knockout will be back. But right now we got the history professor himself here. So I'm just happy to have him here. And I could see that fight going either way. And in reality, if they really had fought, I think that actually that Tyson Fury would pull it out. The jab, his movement would just kind of befuddle David Haye. But what do you think? But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And we got some boxing news for the week, actually boxing history for this week, December 8th through the 14th. And I hope you have a happy Valentine's Day. But anyway, we're going to have Tiger Bomb. Everyone's on assignment. Jessica usually does this her second week away, so we're going to have Tiger Bomb give us the boxing history for this week. So let's hear Tiger Bomb on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
This is Tiger Bomb, two-time former strawweight Muay Thai champion, with your boxing history for the week of February 8th through February 14th. February 8th, 1888. Ad Wolgast, the Michigan Wildcat, was born. He would become the world lightweight champion from 1910 to 1912. February 9th, 1991. Terry Norris defeated Sugar Ray Leonard, defending his WBC Super Welterweight title. February 10th, 2007. Shane Mosley became WBC Welterweight champion by defeating Luis Colazzo. February 11th, 1990. Buster Douglas defeated Mike Tyson in an upset victory. February 12th, 2011. Arthur Abraham defeated Stjepan Bozic. February 13th, 2010. Nonito Donaire defeated Manuel Vargas to defend his interim WBA World Super Flyweight title. February 14th, 1951. St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Sugar Ray Robinson defeated Jake LaMotta in their six-fight rivalry, becoming the undisputed world middleweight champion.
Thank you, Tiger Bomb, for that. And, I've been thinking, as far as doing a simulation, a series of them of the Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson fight, just to see how it would come out, on my computer, on a card and dice game, just to see. I'm curious, what we'll see with that. But anyway, we're going to get back to some more information. This week I got very upset because this WBC, and I've ranted about them on this show in the past, actually went to their convention if you're new to the program, last year because they were here in Bangkok and ranted about it after I came from there. But anyway, they have now, even though he wasn't fighting for their title, the WBC has stripped away Shakur Stevenson's belt because they said he, once again, like they did with Terrence Crawford, he doesn't pay the sanctioning fees. And that's silly. It's one of the biggest scams out there. All the sanctioning bodies, WBC, WBA, IBF, you name them, they all are like scamming. And it's just a shame. I really am upset about this. And Malcolm and Ella, they were like screaming all week when they found out about that. And so they have a little discussion here about their just discuss with the WBC and these sanctioning bodies in general. So take it away. Malcolm and Ella talking about what the WBC did, stripping Shakur Stevenson, who right now I think is like the pound for pound best fighter out there. But what do you think? But anyway, let's get to this right now.
Welcome to the debate. Today we're not just analyzing a news story. We are looking at a crime scene. And I don't say that lightly. I'm talking about the attempted murder of sporting meritocracy, really. We're talking about the breaking news regarding Shakur Stevenson. Fresh off just a masterclass performance at Madison Square Garden against Teofimo Lopez. I mean, a fight where he wins the WBO super lightweight title, becomes a 4-weight world champion. He has been unceremoniously stripped of his WBC lightweight title.
Yeah, it's a moment that's going to be remembered, absolutely. But while you're looking at the crime scene, I'm kind of looking at the motive. And honestly, the sheer stupidity of the perpetrator. The World Boxing Council declared the title vacant because Stevenson refused to pay a sanctioning fee for a fight where, and let's be just crystal clear on this for everyone listening, the WBC belt was not even on the line. They wanted money for a fight they had nothing to do with.
And that is the absolute crux of this whole thing. I have to admit, I come to this discussion today with just a profound sense of anger. This isn't just boxing politics as usual. This is a betrayal. I mean, we spend decades following this sport, believing that the belts represent a lineage, right? A history of the man beating the man. And here you have a governing body just destroying that lineage over what is, at the end of the day, bureaucratic greed. It's an ethical failure that threatens the very integrity of the championship itself. They've taken the green and gold belt, supposed to be the most prestigious prize, and turned it into a ransom note.
See, I share your anger 100%, but I'm coming at it from a different angle. You're calling this a betrayal of the sport's honor. I'm calling this a mask-off moment. This proves that the alphabet soup organizations, the WBC included, are not regulators. They're not the NBA. They're not the NFL. They are vendors. They're businesses selling a shiny accessory, and when the customer, in this case Shakur Stevenson, decides the price is too high for a product he isn't even using, they panic. This is just the desperate flailing of an obsolete business model.
I see why you view it that way, as a business deal gone wrong. But let me give you a different perspective on why this specific case hurts the sport so deeply. You have to look at the timeline. We're talking about a fighter, Stevenson, who just days ago put on a clinic. He beat Teofimo Lopez with scores of 119-109. It was a domination. He's undefeated. He is the lineal king of that division. And almost immediately the WBC moves to strip him. Shakur called them crooks, and honestly, looking at the facts, it's really hard to argue with him on that. Crooks is the word he used, and he's right. But let's look at why he used it. He said, and I'm quoting him here, the WBC didn't even have S to do with this fight. And that's the reality. He fought for a WBO title. The WBC had no officials there, no supervisors, no stake in the bout whatsoever, yet they demanded their cut. You're focused on the disgrace to the sport, and you're right to be, but I want to focus on Stevenson's reaction. He said, "Take your belt, it don't make me." That right there might be the most important sentence spoken in boxing this year.
It's a powerful statement, absolutely, but it's also a tragic one. It suggests that the symbols of achievement in our sport have become meaningless. I mean, when the best fighter in the world says the belt doesn't make him, he's correct, of course, but it implies the belt has failed in its only job, to signify who the best fighter is. By taking the belt away from the undefeated champion, the WBC has effectively delegitimized their own championship.
Exactly. And that is why I argue this is a structural collapse. You're mourning the loss of honor, but I'm looking at the extortion that's just baked into the mechanics of this whole thing. They're claiming this is about rules and regulations, but Stevenson sees it for what it is, a shakedown. He refused to pay what was reported to be around $100,000 to an organization that provided zero value to his fight against Lopez. This isn't just about honor. It's about a laborer refusing to be exploited by a rent-seeking middleman.
I want to drill down into that mechanics aspect you mentioned, because the details here are infuriating, and I think people need to understand exactly how this works. We need to talk about the specific rule that allowed this to happen. This all relies on something called Rule 7.3.
Right. And for our listeners who might not be deep in the bylaws of sanctioning bodies, and I envy you if you aren't, this is where the absurdity really, really shines. According to the analysis from Ade Oladipo, Rule 7.3 says that even if a WBC champion fights for another organization's belt, in this case, the WBO title at 140 pounds, they are obligated to pay 50% of the standard WBC sanctioning fee.
It is absolutely baffling. I mean, it's a protection racket. There is no other way to describe it. Let's use a real-world analogy here. Imagine you own a house, right? And you hire a contractor to fix the roof. Then, a contractor you didn't hire shows up and demands 50% of the payment just because you've used him in the past. It's nonsensical. Stevenson was asked to pay roughly $100,000 for a fight that, by his own admission, the WBC had nothing to do with.
And that's the mask-off moment. In a functional regulatory system, fees cover the cost of regulation. Judges, referees, drug testing oversight. If the WBC isn't regulating the fight, what is that $100,000 for? It's a tax on existence. It's a fee for the privilege of not being stripped. And Shakur's response was just so visceral. He posted on social media saying, $100K to some people who don't deserve it. Nah, Leilani, I'd rather give it to you, baby girl.
That mention of his daughter, Leilani, it just underscores the human element here, doesn't it? These fees aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are taking money directly out of the pockets of the athletes, who are the ones actually taking the punches. Stevenson is saying, effectively, I put my life on the line, I did the work, and I'm going to provide for my family, not fund your bureaucracy. It's a moral stance. And for the WBC to act as if they're entitled to his daughter's future, it's repulsive.
It is, but I'm sorry. I just don't buy that the WBC cares about the morality of it. They're operating like a business protecting its revenue stream. They stripped him not because of the rules. Rules can be waived. Exceptions are made all the time in boxing. Whenever it suits the promoters, they stripped him because he threatened their business model. If Shakur Stevenson, a pound-for-pound star, can get away with not paying the fee, then everyone will stop paying. They had to make an example of him.
I'm not entirely convinced by that, because while I agree they're protecting their wallet, I think there's something more personal, more vindictive at play here. It feels like a targeted vendetta against a certain type of fighter. We can't view this in a vacuum. We have to look at the connection to Terrence Bud Crawford.
That is a very compelling point. The pattern is certainly there. You can't look at one without the other.
Shakur himself made the connection explicitly. He asked, because y'all got beef with Bud, so come at me for it. We have to remember what happened with Crawford. He beats Canelo. Let's say he becomes the undisputed super middleweight champion. And then what happens in December? The WBC strips him of the 168-pound title. And why? Because he refused to pay the fees.
Right. And Crawford's reaction was legendary. He said, boy, you better slap your fang self. I ain't paying your ass. And then he questioned why he should pay $300,000 when he'd already generated massive revenue. The WBC tried to claim it was for their Boxers Fund, their charity, but Crawford wasn't having any of it.
And frankly, neither am I. When you have the two best American fighters, arguably the two most skilled technicians in the sport today, who are close friends and training partners, both in open revolt against your organization, you have a massive problem. The WBC is, as Shakur put it, eating themselves alive. They are cannibalizing their own prestige by attacking the fighters who actually give the belt value. They are practically begging to be irrelevant.
I'd come at it from a different way on the value thing, though. I think what Crawford and Stevenson have realized is that the undisputed label, which we've all sort of fetishized for the last few years, is becoming a trap. It's a financial trap. To be undisputed means paying 4 different organizations roughly 3% of your purse each. That adds up to millions of dollars. The dissenter in me says that Stevenson and Crawford are the first ones to really do the math and say, the ROI just isn't there.
But that hurts the sport. That's my concern. If the best fighters decide the belts aren't worth it, we lose the structure of the sport. We lose the ability to say, this man is the undisputed champion. We go back to a fractured landscape where everyone claims to be the best, but nobody holds all the hardware. It's a tragedy for the historical record.
Is it a tragedy or is it a correction? Because right now, the historical record is being manipulated by fees. Let's talk about the lightweight division now that Stevenson's been stripped. The title is vacant, so who fights for it? This is where the comedy really starts.
This is exactly what I mean by the degradation of lineage. Currently, William Zepeda is ranked number 1. Jedier Herrera is the interim champion. Look, in a sane world, to be the man, you have to beat the man. Stevenson is the man. He's undefeated. He didn't lose in the ring. He lost via press release. And now we're going to have Zepeda or Herrera elevated to world champion without ever having thrown a punch at the actual king of the division.
And that is why the belt is now just paper. It's confetti. It's a participation trophy.
But it matters. It matters because history records lists of champions. 50 years from now, someone will look at Wikipedia or whatever exists then and see WBC lightweight champion Jedier Herrera. They won't see the asterisk that says because the actual champion wouldn't pay a toll. It falsifies history. The green and gold belt is supposed to be the premier prize. Now it's just a sign that you wrote a check.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it differently. The public knows. The fans know. We're in the information age. Tim Brightly made a fascinating point about this recently. He argued that Shakur is actually going to be more popular than Crawford because he's doing this his way. Bradley said Stevenson isn't Ali with the charisma, but he's becoming a superstar through pure skill and by defying the system.
Bradley's point is optimistic, but it relies on the audience being highly educated. It relies on the fans ignoring the marketing of the sanctioning bodies. But casual fans look for belts. They look for that visual signifier of greatness. By stripping Stevenson, the WBC creates confusion. They muddy the waters. They make it harder for the sport to grow because nobody knows who the actual champion is anymore.
I think the waters are already mud, and Shakur is just stepping out of the swamp. Bradley said Shakur is becoming a superstar with his skill. That is the only currency that matters now. If you are unbeatable, you don't need a belt to tell people you're the best. The belt needs you to give it credibility. By taking it away, the WBC has just admitted their belt is irrelevant to Stevenson's status. He's still the guy who schooled Teofimo Lopez. The belt being gone doesn't change that reality.
It doesn't change the reality of his skill, no, but it leaves the division in chaos, and it opens the door for alternatives that might be just as dangerous. We have to discuss the other player in this drama who hasn't said much but is looming large.
You're talking about the existential threat, the Dana White factor.
Yes, we cannot ignore the timing of this. Dana White has been circling boxing for years, teasing Zuffa boxing, criticizing the broken model of the sport.
And this specific controversy is the perfect commercial for the UFC model. I mean, think about it. In the UFC, you don't pay a sanctioning fee to keep your belt. The organization is the promoter and the regulator. Dana White doesn't have to say a word. The WBC is making his argument for him. Fans are exhausted. They're tired of the alphabet soup. They're tired of fights not happening because of mandatories and fees.
I see the appeal of a centralized model, certainly. It offers clarity, one champion per division, the best fight the best. But I am always wary of monopolies. The UFC model has its own issues with fighter pay and lack of autonomy. However, I have to admit, the WBC is acting like they want to be put out of business. They are practically handing the keys to Dana White.
Exactly. The current model is broken. When you have an ecosystem where the regulators are actually just for-profit companies extracting wealth from the talent, eventually the talent will revolt. Stevenson and Crawford are the tip of the spear. If Dana White comes in now and says, come to Zuffa Boxing, we have one belt, no sanctioning fees, and we know who the champion is, that sounds incredibly appealing to a fan base that just watched the lineal lightweight king gets stripped for saving his money.
It's a compelling argument. The WBC is inadvertently advertising that their belts are for sale, not for winning. If the only thing separating the champion from the contender is a bank transfer, then the sport has lost its soul. And that is what enrages me. They're selling the soul of boxing for a 3% cut.
And that's why I say let it burn. The advocate in you wants to save the tradition, but the tradition has become a parasite. The host organism, the sport of boxing, is trying to shake off the parasite. That's what Stevenson is doing.
We're nearing the end of our time, but I want to summarize where we stand. I look at this situation, Shakur Stevenson, a brilliant generational talent, stripped of his title days after a career-defining win, and I just feel a deep sense of loss. This is a sad week for boxing tradition. The WBC has chosen bureaucratic greed over sporting integrity. They have looked at the heir apparent to the pound-for-pound throne and told him, "You don't matter as much as our fee." It leaves the lightweight division in chaos, and it confirms Shakur's assessment that they are crooks. It is a failure of stewardship that I find unforgivable.
And I look at the same situation and see unnecessary destruction. I don't feel sadness. I feel like we're finally seeing the truth. Shakur Stevenson and Terrence Crawford have shown that the emperor has no clothes. The era of the sanctioning body holding leverage over the star fighter is ending. Shakur said, "Take your belt, it don't make me." That's the mantra of the new era. The fighter makes the belt, and if the WBC doesn't realize that, they will become a relic. This isn't a tragedy, it's a revolution.
A revolution that leaves the history books in tatters, unfortunately. But perhaps you're right. Perhaps we've reached the breaking point where the only way forward is through the rubble of the old system.
History books are written by the winners, and right now, Shakur Stevenson is winning in the ring and in the court of public opinion. The WBC is just holding an empty belt.
An empty belt and a bruised reputation. We encourage you, the listener, to look at the source material, look at Stevenson's statements, and decide for yourself. Does the belt make the fighter, or does the fighter make the belt?
I think we know the answer.
Until next time, this has been The Debate. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Malcolm and Ella, for that debate. And yeah, I'm still mad. I'm really mad at the WBC. And, you know, it's funny, when I was there at the convention here last year, that was the day I was there was the day that they stripped Terrence Crawford. And they were bragging about how all the money they use, the sanctioning fees, go to fighters in need, older fighters and all. And yet, no one, when they've been asked about documentation of that, the WBC never can produce anything. Never can. You know, so that money's going in the pockets of Solomon and the other folks controlling the WBC. And I know they'll make them mad, and maybe I'll never go to another WBC event if they come out to Thailand again. They'll say, no, he talks negatively about, our the WBC. We can't have him here. I don't care. They are crooks. They are crooks. And the other sanctioning bodies, if they do the same thing, they're crooks too. But anyway, I'm going to do something else now, because this is a boxing variety show. And we're going to do a little music right now. Back to 1939, Ella, you're going to do Ethel Waters. I just got a letter, and I'm thinking about writing a letter right now to the WBC. But anyway, let's hear that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. Ethel Waters, I just got a letter.
I just got a letter, the sweetest little letter from my honey today. I opened up the letter, my letter. It made me feel much better, 'cause here's what it had to say. It said, I had a dream last night. I dreamed I held you awfully tight. You don't know how I'm missing you. I wish that I were there kissing you. I just got a letter, the sweetest little letter from my honey today. line said, I think of you. The second line said, I'm feeling blue. The third one said, I love you so. But the last line said, please send some dough. It said, I met one of your friends. Her best regards is what she sends. And if we step out, hun, don't be blue. It's just because she looks like you. It said the baby's learned to talk. He's even learning how to walk. The baby looks like you know. He won first prize at a monkey show. I just got a letter, the queerest kind of letter from my man today. It said, I miss you night and day. I wish you wouldn't stay away. I love you so much, darling Belle. That's funny, 'cause my name's Ethel. I just got a letter, and I'm checking up on this letter that I got today.
Yeah, that sure did change the song there. Oh, it sounded so sweet, but my goodness. But anyway, that was Ethel Waters from 1939. I Just Got a Letter. Hope you enjoyed that on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast. And by the way, we didn't, did you see that Figueroa ball fight? My goodness, that was a tight fight. And then out of nowhere in that 12th round, Brandon Figueroa just knocked out Nick Ball. And I thought Ball was going to win that fight, but my goodness, that if you haven't seen it, look online, look on YouTube. That thing was something. That was a classic there. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show today and hope you consider it. So many folks consider this a classic show, but we'll be back next time. And so if you have a fight that you'd like us to sim on the program, or some music you want us to play, or someone you want us to interview, let me know and I'll do my best to get that accomplished. But anyway, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love, go in peace. Help someone along the way and do what you can in your community to make it a better place. Help a senior in need. Help a young person in need. Pick up the trash in your community. Do what you can. If you see an animal distress, help that animal if you can, as long as it don't attack you. But anyway, do what you can, because we're on this big blue ball together. And there are wars and rumors of wars and just some terrible things going on, and I'm upset besides being upset with the WBC. What the White House put out about the Obama family, I mean, that's disgraceful. But I'm not gonna get a rant into that right now. I've done that on other media sites, ranting about that. But anyway, go in love, go in peace. It's Greg Rashid. We'll see you next time on the Shoulder Roll Virtual Boxing Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Please become a member at patreon.com under the title Ringside Fantasy Fights and News. See you next time.